Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are building in Tartosa again. However, we are using terrain tools. Don't know what's happening, but we're using terrain tools here. And we're also building a rental lot instead of a family home because I thought that would be very fitting for this world, considering the theme of the pack. So this is going to be the ideal spot for a couple of honeymooners who kind of want like a larger, luxurious villa to themselves. I thought that would be kind of a nice idea. And you can see that in using these terrain tools, I am trying to create a little bit more of a, we're going to call it a hilltop villa. I was going to say mountaintop, but let's just be real. This is not a mountain, this is a hill. But I did kind of tier things. So I wanted it to kind of have this bigger, grand entrance. And the villa itself is somewhat modeled after a picture that I found on Pinterest. So I will put that on screen for you now if you would like to take a look at it. I wasn't able to achieve everything kind of shown in that picture. One reason being is because we don't have a lot of, well, we have some. We just don't have a lot that I think would look the way I want them to look, but like archways, that's what I'm trying to say. So I ended up using just wall pieces to kind of separate and create these archways because I didn't want things to actually be closed off with an archway in the game. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? And I had to play around with roof pieces a lot as well to kind of create this second story. I'm gonna call it a balcony. Yeah, it's gonna be a balcony. That's what it's called, I think. I had to play around with roof pieces and half walls and things to kind of create this balcony that's within the roof. I thought it was going to be a lot more challenging than it was, but I did have to play around with the roof pieces to kind of try to make things look cohesive and balanced and really just kind of work for the structure. There's actually two, I'm going to call them chimney stacks. There's two chimney stacks on this build, which doesn't make too much sense. There's only one fireplace in the build, but I think it balanced out the structure. And what's great about The Sims is you can put as many fake chimney stacks as you would like, and it doesn't have to make sense. That's called creative control. Anyway, we are working on the exterior and it's pretty much coming together at this point. It's a decent sized house. I really didn't think it was going to be, I don't know, that big. It's not like it's a big house, but I didn't think there'd be that much space on the interior. So there is only one bedroom, but there are two bathrooms. There is a dining area, a kitchen, a living space, and there is a room that I made kind of a home office. So I'm thinking of if there was like a couple that was honeymooning and someone had to like tend to business, or if they wanted to use the computer to look up, I don't know, like plan a route on a little mini road trip or to try to find attractions to go see while they were here. That would be a very nice convenience. Now, of course, this could also be turned into a family home. It's pretty decorated. It's not like minimally decorated. You could change that office into a bedroom if you wanted to actually have a family live here. That would be a great option as well. I wanted to provide a little bit of flexibility in how I was planning out the house and not make it too stale as a rental. Not that rentals are stale, but I feel like the way that I approach them is I try to make them very minimal, not very decorated at all. I want them to be just very kind of cookie cutter. But for this one, I decided to just kind of see where it took me, and I really like where I ended up. But you can see that I am using some of the debug kind of flowers and vines from my wedding stories to kind of give this home, well, this build, I won't say home, but to give this build a little bit of decoration. I also really enjoyed the landscaping that I ended up doing for this build. I used a mixture of, I think it was mostly base game plants. I think there's maybe one or two from Romantic Garden stuff or the Vampire Game Pack. I can't remember, but there are only a handful of plants. And I also used some debug rocks that are freaking huge, by the way. I had to use the tool mod to size them down appropriately, but they are huge, also from the My Wedding Stories debug. They're giant. You guys are going to see them at some point. But I used a lot of the tool mod in this build, but not to do anything super advanced. So basically all I did was I scaled a few different objects to particular sizes, and I also just elevated some items and sunk some items into the ground, but again, using that elevation feature of the tool mod. So you guys are going to see me kind of use it here and there, but I really liked the landscaping. I used a lot of pops of pink because I was seeing a lot of the hydrangea in the world in here in Tartosa, and I also wanted to have some pops of red just because red's a very romantic color. I thought it might be nice, but also pops of white. There's also, I think they're technically agave plants. Is that what they're called? The kind of cactus succulent type thing. I don't actually know what these are called. Super embarrassing, but you guys will probably let me know in the comments down below. But these items that we ended up using, as well as these little patches of grass, I basically line the entire tiered hill with these plants. I hope that makes sense. You're gonna see me start to do it here. And the reason why I use the tool mod, not only to sink the rocks, but also to kind of just sink some plants down, because when you start playing with terrain manipulation, things will place in funny spaces because it can't sit flat. Does that make sense? So I kind of was able to fake it here with the grass and the plants kind of growing up the side of that small hill. But for other things, like in other times, it's not as easy to do. I also sized those flower boxes up to the appropriate size that kind of fit the window. And here you can see that I am using the tool mod to size down these giant rocks and move them into place, just so it looks as though this was more of a natural hill that they built into and up on top of. But I really liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't use terrain manipulation a lot at all. Like, pretty much never. I really don't use it. I did just use it in an English family home that I posted maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it was very, very minor. I just don't feel confident with terrain tools. I'm just now kind of getting a grasp on them. And using the tool mod, I've talked about this numerous times, but I am not comfortable using the tool mod for a lot of things, mainly scaling, but sometimes elevation works as well to just try to put things at different heights. But this is pretty much it for the landscaping. I do just make sure that I add a few more rocks to really cover things and fill things in and kind of cover things up. And I didn't want to block the build with trees, so there are just 2 trees on the very top tier. And now we are decorating the little front patio. There's 2 armchairs out here. There's also going to be 1 lounge chair, because I thought that would be kind of a nice shaded place to maybe sit and enjoy coffee in the morning, or just kind of enjoy being outside without being in direct sunlight, because I imagine it would get pretty warm in Tartosa. I'm picturing it as a very warm place. Well, I don't know what you guys think, but that's kind of how I picture it. I also wanted to ensure that there were plenty of plants in and around this build. And something I really struggled with, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I don't use terrain tools very often, is because it's very difficult to make terrain look flesh with the lot that you're working on. And I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the backyard, but you can see that we're already on to the interior. And this floor plan took me a couple of days to figure out, because this was a really tough area to actually plan out appropriately. I think it was the stair placement. It really threw me off, and it was kind of a skinnier house than I was anticipating, but it ended up working. I just knew I wanted the living room to be right here because of these 2 tall windows that were just, they could be evenly placed in the center of a room. I thought it was gonna be really nice, but the orientation of the furniture and how things were laid out is very different from things that I've done before. I also used the same tile like wallpaper as I did in my other Tartosa build because it's so neutral and just works so well. But I used a lot of things from cottage living. I used the sofa and the 2 armchairs, as well as the fireplace, this beautiful rug from the Vampire Game Pack yet again, and these base game curtains that I never get a chance to use. I just wanted this to look kind of fancy. That's the word I'm going to use, but I feel like there's a particular style that someone else might know that I just don't know. I also created a little tiny coffee table with those end tables from Cats and Dogs, and I put the little tea set on top. I thought it was really, really cute. There's going to be a lamp here. There's going to be a little side table. And I think in the living space, there's no TV at this rental lot. You could, of course, add one if you wanted to, but I decided not to. I decided that if your Sims were coming here, they were more so coming here to get a little bit unplugged. I know there's a computer available, but that was really just for like emergencies or work purposes. That's kind of what I was thinking. So they're a little bit more unplugged. They really just have the fireplace, and there's a bookshelf, and there's also that little, I don't know what you would call it because the word is escaping me right now, but there's a little stereo. I put that in little air quotes. It's kind of the old-fashioned looking one from Base Game, which you guys will see in just a little while. I also just wanted to add a few antique elements because it felt like that's kind of the style that I was starting to create here. I also used the tool mod to lean this painting up on the mantle. I thought that looked really, really cute. And we pretty much keep with this entire color scheme through the whole build, which I really, really enjoyed. But the living room is pretty much coming together at this point. I used this exact same bookcase in my other Tartosa build. I tried really hard to not use the same items over and over again. I felt like that was going to be way too easy to do, but there are a lot of overlaps, at least in some of the item selection. But I really hope that this build at least looks fairly different from the other one that I did. I noticed that I was struggling with that greatly. I don't know if anyone else has kind of experienced that while trying to build here, but I definitely have. But what I do want to try to do as well is I want to try to build something that's a little bit more Greek inspired. I feel like what I've been building here is more so, I don't know. I don't know what it's really inspired by. I was just kind of going with what I thought looked really nice, but I want to focus on some more Greek elements and Greek architecture at some point here because I feel like it would work really, really nicely. But we are now in the kitchen, and I really like the kitchen because I used this tile from base game that I don't know if I've ever used this particular one. There is a second one from base game that resembles this, but it has like dark blue tiles, and I used that when the paranormal stuff pack came out. I don't know how. I don't really know how it ended up working together, but I really liked how it came together, but I haven't used that tile in a very long time. I also used a base game table and a few chairs because I thought it looked really, really pretty here. And it is a bit odd that the dining room is right when you walk in the front door, but I had nowhere else to put it. And the kitchen was just a little bit too small for a functional island for your Sims to sit at. I thought it would look way too cramped. And then that left me with nothing to put here in the entryway, and I couldn't really divide up the floor plan any more than I already had in a way that I felt comfortable with. So this ended up being a smaller dining area. There's just a slight separation to the back door, which will end up leading you out to the back, I'm gonna call it the back patio. Yeah, the back patio. And I really liked the kitchen. I ended up using a lot of dark woods and again, using a lot of base game. These base game curtains, the counters, the cabinets, the appliances. I just really, really liked it. I thought it looked so pretty. And I did put this console table in the center as kind of a faux island. And I also, now I don't know if it looks weird. To me, it looked okay. Maybe some of you guys will think that it's a little bit odd, but I ended up using this console table that has kind of some stored plates and things in it from Seasons and plopping it underneath this console table to make it look like it was almost a built-in shelf unit type thing to store plates. I don't know if you guys are going to like it. I really liked it. I thought it looked okay. There it is, right there. I thought it looked kind of okay. The styles don't mesh very well, but it's kind of hidden because they use a lot of the similar wood tones, so let me know what you guys think. But we're cluttering up the countertops right now. The kitchens are where I can't help but clutter things up. Even in a rental, I want there to be a lot of items here because I think that's just very realistic for kitchens, in my opinion. So there's like a bowl of fruit, you've got your paper towels, a coffee machine, a microwave, you have the little kind of, I think that's technically what you would make coffee with as well. It's like a kettle and like a little milk frother. I put those on the stove just because I thought it was cute. And then there's some books and everything. I always assume that those are like cookbooks that you would keep in the kitchen. And then we just end up putting a rug underneath this dining table and finding a few more decorative items for the front entryway here. And also the back entryway that leads out to the patio, there is a china cabinet from Discover University, I believe. Again, just thinking that that was additional storage for plates or other kinds of appliances that you might use in the kitchen without keeping the countertop super cluttered. There's also a bench so you could like take off your shoes or whatever. And then there's a bathroom down here as well. This is going to be a full bathroom. So there is going to be a shower tub combo in here, of course, the toilet and the sink. And I tried to just make it a little bit different from the bathrooms I did in my other Tartosa build. I just wanted it to look different and stand out. And I loved using this shower again from the Vampire game pack, but I used it in the kind of like all gold swatch. I thought it was so pretty and it kind of brought out the yellow and gold colors in the tiles. That was my thought. And then this room over here, this could be an additional bedroom. So if you did want to make this a family home, or if you had a family coming here on vacation, you could go into BB enable free build or whatever that cheat is. You could just get rid of everything in here and toss in like kid or toddler beds or whatever you'd need. That would be a great alternative, but I wanted to make it that little kind of home office, so at least there was a computer available for research or contacting friends and family while you're on vacation, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm always very appreciative if there's something like that, like an Airbnb, though of course I think there's only maybe ever been one that there was a computer available. I don't know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't seen a lot of computers available at Airbnbs, but I've had like TVs and everything like that, where you have access to cable and streaming services and stuff like that. But anyway, we're up to the second story, where there's going to be another full bathroom. There's kind of like this little landing area, and then there is the one and only bedroom, and it has access to that balcony up top. So it does have the double door kind of at the end of the bedroom, so you could just wake up and walk on to the balcony and just kind of take in the sights, which I thought was going to be very peaceful. Now, I did change up the wood tones a little bit in the bedroom because I did use this bed from base game yet again, and this is a career unlock. I believe it's from the painter career, or like the artist career, whatever that is, and it's a certain branch. I can't remember which branch of that career leads to this career reward, but if you use BB Ignore Gameplay Unlocks Entitlement as a cheat, you can unlock this in Build and Buy, and you can go ahead and use it without your sim ever having to go into that career, which is fantastic. So I used some darker wood tones and these lighter wood tones throughout the bedroom. I thought it was really pretty, and then I just put some toiletries and some flowers on top of the dresser, as well as that little sign. I was thinking that's like the Wi-Fi password or something, or the rules for like laundry or whatever the case is, because I'm thinking it's a rental. Now, there isn't laundry in this build, but you could absolutely add that if you wanted to. But we're adding some decorations on the wall, and then just decorating the little landing space, again using that same rug. I literally cannot stop using that rug now in builds in Tartosa, because I think that the earthy tones just match everything that I end up gravitating towards when I build in this world now. I mean, I've only built here twice. That's probably going to change, but for right now, I think it really matches everything. Now, there are 2 more chairs up here on the balcony, but I didn't put any activities because it would get crowded very, very quickly. You, of course, can add anything that you would like. And then we just furnished the bathroom here, and we move on to the back patio, which I very, very much enjoyed. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, okay? So I'll tend to this as I finish up adding like window boxes and stuff. So when I use terrain tools, or when anyone uses terrain tools, you see how the lot looks really unnatural? My original thought was to use the tool mod to just cover it in grass, but it ended up looking really odd. I spent like an hour or 2 trying to figure that out, and I did not like how it looked whatsoever. So I ended up using the same wall pieces that I used out front and kind of sinking them into the ground, at least to have, I'm thinking like the protective wall, so you don't just like tumble down this little hill and off of the slot if you were on the back patio or whatever. But I ended up putting a pool here kind of inside the patio, which I thought was pretty. I also wanted to use this pergola that we got with my wedding stories because it's absolutely beautiful, and I didn't use it in the other build. I didn't have space, so using it here was a top priority for me. But there's a little tiny pool that's so pretty. If your sim was sitting on a floaty, they would have a gorgeous view of, I'm going to call it like a harbor. It's kind of like a harbor, like that beach lot that's right in the town center. You have a gorgeous view of that. You can see off to the left, maybe at some point here when you're looking at the house like this, you can see the other build that I completed off to the left, right there on that little private island lot. And I was just carrying the landscaping through to the backyard, where there's going to be a picnic table, a grill, a few more lounge chairs, a little floaty, and off to that little grassy area to the left is actually where I put a bonfire with a couple of chairs, so your sims can have like a little bonfire, which I thought it was nice to add another activity. Oh, and a picnic basket and a bicycle. You could actually get a second bicycle, and you could go on little like bike tours of Tartosa. That sounds really cute. But anyway, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this build. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.